If we could come to order, I realize we're not all here, and the reason for that is that we got badly delayed in committee meetings, and I really didn't expect that I'd be coming to order until at least half past, if not quarter of. So not everyone's here. I'm going to skip around a little, if you don't mind. The first thing I need is an approval of the minutes, Bob. And the second thing I'm going to address is the 2011 work plan. 2011. Oh.
It's almost here.
Almost here. The work plan in our book has been changed in order to reflect some suggestions that were made last meeting we had. And there are two things which may cause us to change, and I like this very much because it allows us to complete the EEO year-end evaluation
Earlier.
in February instead of so late.
Earlier, right.
And it doesn't delay our departmental goals too much, just 1 month.
Right.
So it's,
Right.
in one sense, that's a good thing. In another sense, it's important that we meet prior to the July board meeting when the EEO, is it the EEO? Yeah.
The DB goal?
The DBE goal has to go to the full board, and we always meet beforehand to be sure that the committee is in agreement with the DBE goal. So February to July seems like a very long stretch without a meeting, and we may make some changes there. Then lastly, believe it or not, in the interest of planning way ahead, Bob, I will not be here in February. So if we do meet in February, I will ask you to cover the chairmanship of the meeting for me if that's acceptable. Okay? So in summary, our work plan is in flux, but generally you can see how we're trying to arrange the work so that we meet prior to the necessary board actions and we get all of the reports done in a timely fashion. So I will ask that you approve the tentative work plan, and thank you very much. We're going to skip item 3 and 4, the MTA Small Business Mentoring Program update and the legislative changes, and we'll move right into the outreach program events. So let me skip around here a little bit. Are we all everybody okay?
I'm ready.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Zenaida? Okay.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I guess mine is also going to be short and sweet because due to budgetary constraints, we really haven't been doing much outreach. We've been reaching inside rather than out. So to start, I guess the last time we had reported was up until August. And I just wanted to say that we had the 17th Annual Competitive Edge Conference, which was one of the biggest conference that we have in addition to DASNY. And that went very well. We had over 500 participants at that conference. And so now we moved on to October. In the planning of the mentor program, we have also been reaching out to different and participating in some additional expos. Being last Friday, we attended the second annual Small Business Procurement Matchmaker Expo at Farmingdale State. And it's basically now matchmaker one-on-one with firms, assessing them at the time that we meet them and ensuring them that pointing them to the different agencies and the different events. So that one was a small one. We had about 26 firms that were met there. On that same day, staff went up to Albany, where we attended the 25th Annual Dormitory Authority. That was pretty big. I'd say about 800 attendees went to this conference. And just to familiarize you, the Dormitory Authority has this conference every year and holds workshops and speed networking and dinners and luncheons and an expo. And that's where we kicked off the Small Business Mentor Program, and we've had over 100 firms sign up in 2 days so we're basically working on putting on this program effective this Thursday. I don't want to talk too much about that because I don't want to steal Mike's thunder on that one. It's gorgeous. It's a good thing in place. We also had in-house the orientation session for newly certified firms. We're working with the state on the newly certified MWBEs along with the newly certified DBEs to come in and listen to the different opportunities and policies on procedures on how to do business with all of the agencies. And that went well. We had over 100 firms participate on that. We sent out, I'd say, about 300 invites with DBE and certified and New York State certified firms. We attended the Association of Minority Enterprise Annual Award Gala. We also attended the New York School Construction Authority. We had about 50 firms that we picked up from there. They basically do a similar mentoring program that we're going to put in place. So that was a good one. And coming into November,
Zanita, if I can say something?
Yes.
I recognize that everybody is dealing with a tighter financial constraint than we've had in the past, but it sounds like you're really making the best out of a bang for your buck. It sounds like you've got a lot of opportunities coming in, and I congratulate you for that.
Thank you. Thank you. I think that the spin in having more in-house events and having agencies participate and share the information with the firms is very helpful, you know. Also, we've been having our monthly MWDBE certification sessions, and again, we invite the Empire State Economic Development Corporation to participate. We also have planned an agency-wide construction and construction-related services similar to what we did earlier back in November. But we're going to push that back because we're busy with the mentor program, and in addition to that, there will be a small business development program at Harlem Hospital, similar to what we did in McGraw-Hill last year. So in December, we will kind of slow down. Usually organizations take place there. They start having their dinners and everything, so we will participate at the Jamaica Business Resource Center and also continue with our MWDBE certification sessions. That's my presentation.
Upcoming MTA agency-wide diversity events?
Good afternoon. Just to mention for October, we, for the first time ever, MTA and its agencies observed the Domestic Violence Awareness Month. What we did there was we distributed ribbons. We passed out information for employees so that they would know where to go and how to get the assistance that they need. We gave out information on employment rights and state resources that are available for people or employees who have been subjected to this horrific violence. On this coming Friday, New York City Transit, Diversity Liaisons, MTA Diversity Council, and Capital Construction have come together, and they're going to put on an event this coming Friday, which is kind of unusual in recognition of the Domestic Violence Awareness Month. We have a group coming in that's going to do a seminar entitled Enhancing Relationships. So it's a new approach to violence prevention. That's October 29th. It'll be at 2 Broadway, and it will be from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock. Okay. As you can see, B&T and MTA Bus also celebrated the National Hispanic Heritage Month during October, and Metro North, for the full month of October, had a number of events, and they entitled it Diversity Awareness Month. In November, MTA headquarters, November 9th, will celebrate Veterans Day. And in December, we will have our annual International Dessert Day, and MTA Bus will host an annual toy drive.
Great. We're going to backtrack a little bit. Any questions or any additional pieces from any of the agencies on? You know, I have to say that this year I haven't been able to attend as many of the in-house diversity things as I usually enjoy, and I'm hoping that I don't overcommit myself so badly and will be able to do more next year, because it's always eye-opening and something new and interesting to learn each time I attend. Michael, could we go back to the MTA Small Business Mentoring
Yes,
Program update?
Definitely.
And there we are.
Here we are. So we're here. As you know, the bill was passed by the Assembly and the State Senate. It was signed into law by Governor Patterson in July. One of the mandates of Chairman Walter was that once the bill was signed, that he wanted this program to be rolled out full steam ahead, and we are there. We are having essentially a pre-bid meeting for our first project on this Friday with an anticipated bid date for our first mentor program project at Transit on November 18th or 19th. So we are there. The loan program, we've hired Carver Federal Savings Bank. They will be issuing loans to firms who are bidding in the program, and for those firms who win projects, we will issue two-party checks until the loan is paid off by the third or fourth invoice. And so basically that was like a monumental achievement, because we then went out via an RFP process, and only one bank responded, and that was Carver. And Carver, they understand the role of small business, and they understand that as small businesses grow, they will grow because they will have the opportunity to sell their other products to these growing firms. Our bond program is finalized with Marsh, but the bond program is like 2 or 3 years down the road, because our goal here is to create a larger pool of qualified, diverse contractors who we can grow and graduate into our regular MTA business. And so as firms graduate out, they will be trained and prepped how to get bonding.
And they don't need it to participate in the early stages?
No. We have a bond program here where we are going to issue bonding to all of the firms who are going to be bidding in the MTA's mentor program. Finally,
That's a big step.
Oh yeah, definitely, it's a big step. So this program is a well thought out program, because the program is going to address all of the impediments that have historically stopped small firms from doing business in the marketplace, and surely doing business here at the MTA. Finally, our training program is going to start this week. Thursday is our first training class, and the class is entitled How to Do Business at the MTA. And so we're going to talk to these contractors how to do business here, what are the various processes that they need to do business not only at MTA headquarters, but at all of the operating agencies. So we are very, very, very excited that we are going to be able to have our first bid next week, and this program is here. And so I want to just thank everybody, all of the agencies and the staff, for really supporting us in this effort to get this program up, moving, and here.
That'll move right into legislative changes.
Yes. As you may know, as you may not know, that there were 4 new MWBE bills that were passed by both the Assembly and the State Senate, and they were signed into law. These bills are going to allow us to do a more effective job in achieving our goals on our state-funded projects. And we are currently right now reviewing all of the bills and all of the contract language, so we can insert the contract language in all of our operating agencies. And that's currently being done as we speak right now.
Is there a required operational date for us to be finished and up and running on those bills?
Yes, it is October.
Ooh.
So
We better hurry.
So we're moving. Yes, we
Okay.
are. We're moving.
Any questions, Bob?
No.
Certification.
Yes, generally Carolyn Green is
Right.
here, but you may know that we are undergoing, as we speak, a review by the FTA of our DBE program. So Carolyn's there in the office.
Better
and,
place to be under
Yes,
the circumstances.
but I'm pleased to report that Danny Camacho is here, and he will present the certification report.
Danny?
It's a pleasure to see you in this venue.
Nice
as
to
opposed
see you.
outside venues.
Yes.
Well, this is the third quarter of 2010. Basically, as you can see from the slide, we processed 32 pending applications. 15 were certified, 3 denied, and 4 were returned for different reasons. The total process during that reporting period is 22, and new applications were 33. There's been a trend of a lot more firms applying for certification as the private business appears to be drying up, so we expect to get a lot more applications in here.
Let me say also that we are not only certifying more companies, but after they are certified, we are bringing them in every quarter with all of the operating agencies. And we are really trying to integrate these newly certified firms into the actual business process of each one of our agencies. Last week, I think we had about 80 firms that came. 80?
About 80.
Right.
Wow. You know, I realize that in a strange way you're making work for yourself, but it's work that we need to do in order to achieve the goals that we've set. So I appreciate that, and I hope to see the numbers continue to go up, although I know it's probably more and more difficult to keep turning them over.
I think you will. As of October 25th, 11 more firms applied for certification, so we have about 52 that we're going to report in October, November as pending.
It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the certification determinations are concerned, in July we did 15, certified 15. I'm sorry, we certified 4. In August 7 and September 4 for a total of 15. We denied 3, and again we returned 4 applications. By service area, construction and related services, there were 6 in total for the quarter. Professional services 1, suppliers 3, and other types of vendors 5.
So we're getting a diversity of types of businesses, too.
Yes, we are. We're getting black car service companies, security service companies, and other types of, different types of companies.
That's good.
that are non-traditional.
Let me speak also to the black car paratransit bid. We were asked by Transit to waive the MWBE goals on the new black car bid, and I refused. And so essentially we worked in tandem, and we went out. We advertised a new black car voucher bid. They are going to be 24 awards, and 8 awards are going to be awarded to state-certified MWBE firms.
Terrific.
So that should be coming to the board this week.
It is.
Right.
We saw it in committee.
Okay.
EEO activities?
Okay. Next slide, please.
You there?
This is a disclaimer, just saying that the numbers and the information provided do not show statistical disparities or explain the reason or provide a root cause analysis for any identified underutilization. Next slide, please. As you can see, all of the protected groups either met or exceeded 80% census availability, with the exception of females and employees classified as others. Right here, I would like to just mention that New York City Transit has set up on their website featuring females working in non-traditional jobs to encourage female applicants to apply for non-traditional positions. So we'd like to congratulate them, and I'd like to make that known.
That's great. I'll have to look for it. Is there any special place I should go, just on your site?
Madam Chair, if you go to the MTA's website and click on New York City Transit on our employment site link,
Okay.
there is a link there that's entitled Women in Transit. And it provides a historical perspective on the contributions women have made to public transportation. It provides information on how to apply for jobs at New York City Transit, programs that we offer to students to have practical experience at transit while they are students. And probably one of the most important things on the site are testimonials from 8 women who work primarily in our operations departments, speaking of the benefits and the rewards of working at New York City Transit. And we're just hopeful that notwithstanding the fact that there are limited employment opportunities now, that when there are opportunities, when women go to our site, they'll be encouraged by the information that they find on this site.
I think that's wonderful. I'm going to encourage the other operating agencies to do the same, to take a look at the website and expand it, because, it's very true. Speaking as a woman who always worked in a non-traditional field, when you see other women in your field, you can do it. It's a good feeling, and it's an important message to get out there. So I congratulate you. Yes?
I'm Kathy Sweeney from Bridges and Tunnels. Gloria was unable to make it. On this point, I wanted to make the point that last Thursday evening, the Women's Transportation Seminar celebrated their 30th anniversary. Excuse me, and I happen to have been a founding mother, as we call it, but that part of a large part of the program was honoring the MTA and all of its agencies because of their participation in that group, which includes a mentoring program, a leadership program, and I know a lot of people derive a great deal of benefit from the networking and prospecting for recruits as well as educational development. So I just wanted to make that point.
Thank you, Kathy.
Yeah, Joel and Naeem and Gwen, prior to the voluntary and involuntary staff reductions, we would meet once a month or every quarter with all of the operating agencies to share best practices as to how we can increase the hiring in those areas in which we were down. Were those meetings valuable?
Yes.
Yes,
Should we start those meetings back up again?
I think so.
Yes. Those meetings were led by the all-agency recruitment team, and they were put on hold for a little while, but I have spoken to Leon about those meetings and whether or not, if we're going to continue with them.
Mm-hmm.
But I will certainly check with him in trying to get those
I think the
meetings.
person from headquarters is Maggie.
Yes, but Leon usually heads it up.
Right.
But I will work with the both of them.
Okay, Joel?
Can you keep me posted on that?
Sure.
Oh, I agree. I think even in a time of economic downturn where we don't have significant employment opportunities, I think that we can't subordinate diversity and inclusion, and to the extent that we are doing any hiring or promoting, we should keep that commitment as a priority, and I think it'd be good for us to continue to have those meetings.
Absolutely correct.
That's true.
Thanks.
Okay. Changing demographics, the chart shows that all of the protected groups' populations have increased with the exception of the Alaskan AI, American Indian, Native American, and the Native Hawaiian, other Pacific Islanders, and others. As you can see, what we call AINA population decreased, while the Native Hawaiian, other Pacific Islanders, and others they're new, and so we couldn't actually measure the other two. Next slide, please. As of June 30th, the MTA-wide workforce totaled 68,081. Decreases in headcount occurred at MTA and all of its agencies. Between December 2009 and June 2010, you can go to the next slide, please. Female and minority headcounts and percentages of representation decreased. The percentage of female representation continued to be below 80% census availability, while minority percentage of representation continues to exceed 80% census availability. Minority groups' percentages of representation either exceeded or met 80% of census availability, with the exception, as I mentioned before, of employees classified as others, which was below 80% census availability.
To Joel's point, I realize we've struggled with certain groups and that you're making efforts to reach out to those groups, but to Joel's point, to see us lose ground is
Absolutely.
particularly painful because it was ground very hard won.
True. Our next slide deals with the officials and managers at MTA wide. As of June 2010, the officials and managers job category totaled 10,312, which is 15% of the total workforce. It's a decrease of 252 employees when you compare it to year-end 2009. Female representation in the O&M job category is below 80% census availability, while minority representation continued to exceed. All of the minority groups' percentages of representation continue to meet or exceed 80% of census availability, again with the exception of others, which was below 80%. Next slide, please. During the first 6 months of the year, MTA and its agency hired a total of 344 employees. Of the 344 new hires, 37, or almost 11%, are female, and 154, which is about 45%, are minority. Most of the hires occurred in our skilled craft job category, which is, again, the female non-traditional job category. Okay. Of the 161 new hires, 4% are female and 44% are minority. And then we have a racial breakdown. Next slide, please. Non-minorities was made up 55% of the total new hires. Blacks made up 20%, Asians about 15%, Hispanics 8%, others approximately 2%, and Native Hawaiian, other Pacific Islanders was almost about 1%. And so this just shows the breakdown of what, yeah, keep going. Thank you. So now we talk about the 2010 EEO complaints. Between December 2009 and June 2010, MTA and its agencies handled a total of 342 complaints, citing 519 separate allegations. Of the 342 complaints, 182 were filed externally at city, state, and federal agencies, and 160 were filed internally. Next slide, please. Of the 182 external complaints, race color made up 22% of the complaints filed, disability also made up 22%, and other types of miscellaneous discrimination made up 24%. They were the most frequently filed types of discrimination that was filed in the complaint, cited in the complaint. Of the 160 internal complaints, race color 29%, sexual harassment 18%, and other types of miscellaneous discrimination was 20%, was most frequently cited in the complaints. For mid-year 2010 Title VI complaints, MTA and its agencies handled a total of 18 Title VI complaints, citing 18 separate allegations. Of the 18 Title VI complaints, 72% alleged race discrimination, 22% alleged national origin discrimination, and 6% alleged income discrimination. And we have the chart explaining that.
Our next issue is the MWDBE contract compliance status report, which I have to warn you, we've already heard once today.
Good afternoon, everyone. The good news is that there's been a slight increase in the number of contracts for this reporting period from 952 to 974, 22 contracts have been increased. The total number of subcontracts was slightly over 4,000, with the individual subcontractors a little over 1,100. The original subcontract amount was $2.5 billion with some modification to current subcontract amounts of $2.4 billion. Based on the federally funded DBE contract award, we have, for prime contracts, approximately $300 million, with FTA dollars representing $281 million. The DBE participation on that, compared to agency versus FTA participation, is $39 million, and the FTA dollars represented $37 million. We were asked previously to provide a breakdown of the M&WBE, but the combined numbers represented for the award activity of the 31,000 contracts is $1.2 billion, and $72 million of that represented combined M&WBE participation. The individual,
These are all contracts and not just construction, but all contracts overall.
Right, all contracts overall. Now, the individual breakdown, which again represents all contracts, for MBE participation of that $1.2 billion is $45 million. And for the WBE participation, it's $28 million. Now, if we look at the DBE participation, moving forward, we get a little bit better in terms of reaching our goal. We have a total of $266 million, in which the DBE participation is $32 million, which represents 12.2% of our 17% goal. But we have 2 more quarters to report, so we're looking kind of good. The beautiful thing, though, is that on our combined M&WB participation, we're achieving 28.4%. So of the $98 million of prime contracts, there were $28 million MWB participation. When you look at the individual breakdown, our 10% goal is being exceeded by 14.5. And of that $98 million, $14 million was for MBE participation. And on the next page, that same $98 million, we have another $14 million participation, and our 5% goal is being exceeded, 13.9%. The summary based on the participation is $2.5 billion, and the total payments to date is $60 million.
Well, it starts with outreach and it ends with spreading the money around, and I see a good pattern coming here, I hope. Would you like to do the capital construction?
Yes, I will. On page 42, we looked at the amount of contract awards that were awarded to DBE firms on our federal contracts, and although the goal is 17%, we achieved 14% during the second quarter, first quarter and second quarter. We also wanted to look at how many MWBE firms worked on our FTA or federally funded projects, and that came out to 2%, and 2% overall. If you look down at the second quarter on our MWBE firms, the goal was 10%, and essentially we reached 4%. During the second quarter. If you look at the WBE and the goal is 5%, we reached 4%. And we also wanted to look at how many DBE firms worked on our state projects, and we achieved 3%. MBE on federal, and 0 on WBE on the federal.
Do you want to make some comments about why we're looking at more contracts?
Yes, basically we want to give our contractors a chance and opportunity to maximize, because at the end of the day we are judged on our MW and DBE efforts. Mm-hmm. So for example, where there's a finite few of DBE firms on our federal contracts because of the type of work that we're doing, the tunneling and the boring work, with respect to the few firms who are certified, we are now giving our contractors the choice of using state-certified M and WBE firms, and we're starting to see a spike up in the numbers as we go along. We were at earlier today our CPOC meeting, and we had the third quarter results, and those numbers are slightly going up.
Yeah, I think the point that I'd like to have people understand is that our goal here is to spread the money into MWDBE concerns, and that's more important than being driven by the specific individual goals. So by looking at it with a broader brush and being able to count more things, I think we understand a little more clearly what the impact of the program really is versus this is the goal and this is what we're trying to meet. We want to do better than that. And this is starting to show that it does work. But not without your input and your suggestion and your bringing people together, and that's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm.
Every year, every committee is obligated to re-review its charter and make whatever changes are necessary. We reviewed our charter very recently and did make some significant changes, which we're still trying to work out in terms of our schedule. The only change that I see in our charter from this year to next year is the change in the date of approval. So unless you have suggestions for changes to the charter, anybody, we will take this charter to the board and ask that it be reauthorized. Any questions? Any additional information or comments or anything? I thank you very much. I'm sorry that we're so late in the day, but we ended up a lot earlier than I was afraid we would. Thank you very much for coming.